Page 276, this is a theme from the first movement of the Moonlight Sonata by Beethoven, very famous piece. It's beautiful. You can find lots of recordings of this sonata. I even did a recording, I think, of the first movement on my other channel, but go listen to the pros play it. But make sure you listen to multiple people play it, because they'll play it at different speeds and slightly different interpretations, and you get an idea. This is really nice what they've done here. This is the actual key it's in. C sharp minor is the key it's in. So I'll just go through the process because this is a piece of solo repertoire. Let's just see what happens. I look it over. It's 2 pages long. Treble bass clef, 4 sharps in the key signature. So it's either in E major or C sharp minor. I already told you C major. But you look at the end, you're ending on C sharps here. It's C sharp minor. And 4/4 time signature. And we have triplets everywhere. Triplet, triplet, triplet. 1 enda, 2 enda, 3 enda, whatever. Take it one hand at a time. I would still like to have a fingering where I can connect the notes as much as I can. The right hand, that is a G sharp here. And you can go ahead, if you don't mind being up in here, you can use this fingering, 1, 3. If you don't, then you do that. 2, 4, 5, because that would be the fingering, that's the chord. And we're just doing that. I don't know how big your hands are or how fat your fingers are. You have to adjust. But whichever. And it's 1 enda, 1 enda. And then third measure of it's here. And then you go up. Measure 4, it's at B sharp is a C. So you say, why don't they just use a C natural? You have a C sharp, can't you just put a C in there and put a natural sign? And the answer is harmonically it needs to be a B flat. So we're dealing with that. You got to stick with chords within the harmony of the chord. You don't introduce other notes. Well, today's music you do, but here, no, it needs to be a B sharp. And at the end of that measure, that's still a B sharp there, that last beat. Just walking up here. And now the melody, because all of that was introduction. And this dotted rhythm, keep the 16th note short. Don't turn it into a triplet. A lot of times, especially in this time frame when this was written, composers, when they had triplets going or a 3 feel, if they wanted it in the other hand, they would put in a dotted rhythm and you would just interpret it as a triplet. But in this, I've never heard those played as triplets. I've always heard those dotted rhythms played dotted. So that 16th note comes after the last note in the other hand. It's a short note. Make sure it's to hear. To hear. Don't bottom. No, it's bom, bum, ba, bum. Yeah. Now measure 9, you're here. Then reach up. And then going on, measure 10 at the end, that's the thumb now. That's why we were ready to connect. So we're just connecting all this together. Measure 20, it's crossover. During the rest, now you come down because you get in measure 23, bass clef. You start treble and then you have bass clef. Remember, they can change clef signs anywhere. Ha, that's all. B sharps. Now, let's explain this B sharp a little more. We're in C sharp minor. We're using harmonic minor, which means the 7th step is raised a half a step. The 7th step in C sharp minor is a B. That's natural minor. But we use the harmonic minor, and that's why you're using B sharps here. That's why we're using B sharps. I said to stay within a harmonic chord. Well, again, we're using B sharps because the chord has a B. It should be a B in the chord, but we're using harmonic minor, so it's a B sharp, and they're all over the place here. Now at the end, the last 2 measures, this is arpeggio going up, and I like their fingering. It's 2 here, this is where you're doing the arpeggios. If you know them, you're doing them 2 octaves and you're doing the tremolo exercise. This becomes easy here. And in the arpeggio, when you do that, you would start with 4th finger because that's the finger that plays. This is the fingering for the arpeggio. 4th finger plays the C sharp, so you'd start with that. But in music, you're starting in whatever. So 2 is fine. That's fine. Left hand. Well, left hand starts with octaves. Then here, and this is, you can't really connect these, but do the best you can. And then in measure 5 at the end, you get the triplets. And again, try and connect these triplets all the way through. These slurs, a lot of times back when this was written, it was normal, for some reason, that when they would put slurs on the music, they would not put a slur across a bar line. They would only slur within the measure. And that's sort of what's happening here. But it's all slurred together. It's all connected. If there's going to be any phrasing involved, it would be in the right hand, probably. We'll know more when we get into it. Then I put them together, and it's here to start. The left hand isn't doing much, so it's not too bad. And then we get to measure 4, you're here. Make sure in beat 3, the left hand comes up. You got to come up here anyway. There. You see it? The 16th note comes after. There. Now, it's quite common also in this piece and other pieces similar where you have repeated notes like this, 2 quick notes, to use different fingers on them. It takes a little practice to get used to it, but that's generally what I would do on any 2 fingers, whatever fingers you're using. Your 3, I can go with 2-3, or 1-3, or 4-3, whatever. It's just so you're not using the same finger. It's more dangerous to use the same finger, believe it or not. Once you get the hang of using different fingers, it takes a little getting used to, but it's really a lot more solid once you get used to it. Now, not everybody agrees with that. Naturally, they don't agree with much of anything, so why should they agree with that? But I recommend different fingers on that if you can. You can do a 2-3. If you're using 3, if measure 10, you have 1. You do a 2-1 here. So I put the hands together, and then I go back over it slowly and carefully and get rid of the hesitations. And again, because it's a little longer, if you're struggling with it, break it up into pieces. Just take it maybe a line at a time, 2 lines at a time, whatever. And just take it in pieces and get it learned, and then go put it all together. As far as the articulation goes, you can pretty much just connect this. Now, like measure 9 here. That ends a phrase. And then you can lift up in the right leg, like taking a breath here. So you can put in the phrasing in the right hand if you can figure out where the phrases are. The left hand, I would connect it all pretty much all the way through except for the rest. Dynamics, very soft here, both hands at pianissimo. Don't use the soft pedal, that's cheating. You gotta learn to do this with the hands, and this is something you can do with the scales and arpeggios. How soft can you play them? So if you'll practice these other things, loudness and softness and staccato and legato and all that when you're doing the scales and arpeggios, it's a win-win because then you're doing the scales and arpeggios more, and then when you run across it in the pieces, you just do it. Just very light, both hands. They don't give you anything else until measure 8. Well, when you get to measure 5, this is finishing up the introduction here. This, bring that up and play that soft. We want to hear that this is melody. This other's got to be very soft. Measure 8, crescendo up, this is swell. Then come back. So basically I'm soft in the right hand and very soft in the left. And when I swell up, I only go up to about a moderately soft here. Now at measure 11, they're giving you a crescendo. So it's soft. How loud you get again? You only go up to about a moderately soft. Don't get really too loud here. Don't get loud. But you're going up. And then for measure 13, all of a sudden, Beethoven did this a lot. It's called terrace dynamics. When you have one and then suddenly switch to another dynamic, all of a sudden, Beethoven loved that. For moderately soft, somewhere at the end of measure 12, and then measure 13, all of a sudden you're soft. And the left hand's just staying out of the way. So measure 10, we're soft. Soft, a little louder. Louder. Now soft. So all of a sudden soft. And measure 15, the swells for the left hand. You can't do anything with the right. Just a da-da-da-da-da-da. The second beat's a little louder than the first. You get a crescendo, measure 21, you're going to go up again. That's the same as a hairpin. Again, it's another swell. You're going to go up a little bit here. Measure 22, that's your middle of the swell. Come down. Very soft. I suggest on measure 23, that where the PP is, come soft. That's melody. Now you can be very soft. And be careful here because the right hand and left hand are both playing the same notes on the triplets because you're here. So you got to get one hand over it, get the other hand over it, and be ready to go because it should sound like one hand played all of those. It's here. You have to practice it. I do a 2 one, it's easier for me. A thumb, I got to come down. Just practice that. Plus, you got to be very soft, huh? Because we want to hear that. However, when you get down here on piano, it'll come out. So you can still keep this kind of very soft in the area. You'll still hear it. But we want to hear this over the triplets. Just goes up. There's no retard there or nothing. He didn't put in a retard. I wonder why. This is an arrangement. It seems like you might be able to retard there a little, but you wouldn't want to retard much because then the triplets would lose their triplet feel. They would just start to drag. So it has some tricky spots, and those spots are the ones you need to spend most of your time on. Don't keep playing at all. Work on the tricky spots and iron them out. Get those ironed out. And then you can go put it all together. As far as the speed goes, adagio sostenuto. Adagio is slow. It's sustained. It's a nice flow. The treble. I've heard different people play this at different speeds. In the original, it's actually written in cut time. And I have asked multiple people who's supposed to know what they're talking about. Why is it in cut time? And nobody answers it. In my opinion, it must be originally written in cut time because Beethoven didn't like it when people played it too slow. I heard people performing this, and they would play it this. They would actually play it that slow. And there's no flow to that. It needs to flow. So here, flow it, but not. It's a slow flow. And again, I'm walking on the keyboard here. I'm just transferring weight, and the wrist will do whatever it does. I don't pay attention to it. It does go in a circle, but it does it all by itself. I don't make it. 2, 1, 2, 3. That's fine. See, in the original 2 and measures 3 and 4, there's a swell in there too. There's nothing here. I felt the swell. I'm used to playing it that way, so I get a little louder on measure 3. Get louder. Let it come down. Now they've added pedal, and we're using pedal here for the overtones. We want lots of sound, not because we want it loud, but because we want to hear these chords. We want all these things coming in. It's overlapping pedal. The notes go down first and then the pedal, but make sure you get the pedal down in time to catch the first note in the triplet. So don't take too long. So at the beginning, I'm going to push the note down first and then the pedal. I'm going to change the pedal after I play the note. And it's going to overlap all the way through. If you want to hear the phrasing, go ahead and put in the lift for the phrasing, do the technique. Although as far as the piece goes, you're probably going to cover them up, because you need to connect these triplets. We don't want to lift up. I don't want to lose any sound. I want the sound constant on the triplets. Get into it and feel it on these. Let's play this together very slowly and check the notes and the rhythms. And we're not performing it, we're just checking notes and rhythms. We're going to go really slow. I'm not going to do the louds and softs, and I'm not going to do the pedaling, because you hear the notes a lot better without the pedaling, and that's what we need to hear here. Here. I'll give us 4 counts. 2 and ready and go and 1. and 3 and 4 and off.